Okay, Gary. Time to dust off and get some work done.
Hey Run Junkies, we are back in the Journey to Triathlon series, and this time I want to introduce you to the bike portion of triathlon. This is the second leg in any standard tri, and in my personal experience, you either love the bike portion of tri or you don't. The bike leg of triathlon is a little different from a regular road cycling race in quite a few respects because for the most part you are riding alone. You are not riding in a pack. You're riding by yourself, basically single file throughout the entire race course. Now, like the swim, you want to think streamlined, think thin to the wind. The easier it is to slice through the air, the less energy it will take to finish the bike leg. It is because of this that the bike leg of triathlon is the most gear intensive. So I'm going to spend a lot of this video talking about the gear, what you absolutely need, and what are the really nice to haves to just kind of the extras that you can add as you gain more experience. Now, here's the thing about participating in your first triathlon. You do not need to go out and drop a whole lot of money on a really fancy bike if you're not sure if you're going to do another one. My first 3 triathlons were women's triathlons, and I rode this bike. This is basically a hybrid road and mountain bike, and it worked just fine. It has trail tires, it has a heavier frame, and this thing is a beast to move around as compared to my triathlon bike. And I will say the only reason that my triathlon bike isn't here is because right now it's in the shop. As a first timer, if you have a bike like this, it will do just fine. You can get through the bike leg of a triathlon on a bike like this, as long as it's in good working condition. Now, I will say that if you are looking for a bike and you do have, based on your budget and have a little bit of money to spend, you can buy a little bit of speed as an upgrade from this level of bicycle. And I will tell you the difference between this bike and my triathlon bike in a sprint triathlon is 20 minutes to half an hour. Like I said, the bike is a place where you can buy speed, and if you have it in your budget to get a good road bike, that might be a good place to start. A good cycling shop will help fit you to a bike that's going to work for you. You have to take into account leg length, torso length, and arm length when you are looking at getting a bike that fits you. And a good cycling shop is going to help you find the right bike for you that fits within your price range. Whatever bike you do have, it's best to get it tuned by a bike mechanic before you take it out for the training season. Like I said, my triathlon bike is at the shop right now. You want to get all the gears tuned and make sure that the chain is in good working order, that everything is cleaned and greased before you take it out on your rides. And unless you have been riding your bike into the ground, you probably don't have to have a lot of work on it, but a good mechanic will tell you what you need and how to get it in good shape for your training season. Other equipment that you absolutely need is your bike helmet. Come here. No, seriously. Okay? A good bike helmet. I know of no triathlon or race series that will allow you to ride the bike portion of triathlon without a helmet. In fact, most cases you cannot leave the bike mount line without having the helmet on and clipped. Now, a helmet is designed for protection from impact. It is designed to protect your head in a crash or a collision. If your helmet is 3 years old or older, you probably want to replace it because this foam does deteriorate over time, and if it is in a crash or collision, it may not protect you as well. The next thing you may need is going to depend on the kind of bike you have. If your bike has clip-in pedals, then you probably want to get a pair of clip-in shoes. Cycling shoes look like this, and they have a cleat on the bottom. This cleat fastens to the bike pedal. Now, if you don't have clips on your pedals and you just have a standard pedal like this with a cage on it, your running shoes will be absolutely fine for that. In fact, a lot of first timers will come out of the water, put on their running shoes, and then jump on their bike. But that's only if you don't have the clip-in pedals. If you do, you can find a pair of shoes. Again, a cycling shop will help you find a good pair of shoes. Now, cycling shoes with clips, there's a reason for them. What they do is that they allow you to not only push down on the pedal, but also pull up. So you're getting a more efficient pedal stroke. You also want some way to stay hydrated. Good cycling water bottles are great, and you want a cage that will fasten to your bike. I have one right here, and the bike Water bottle goes right there. You also want a good pair of sunglasses or some kind of face shield to protect your eyes from bugs and flying debris. And those are really the basics for triathlon. So let me go back through. We have a bike, a helmet, maybe shoes depending on your bike, definitely a water bottle, and some kind of eye protection. Now we're going to move into the nice to have, really good to have, but not necessary to complete a triathlon. You might want to pick up a few extra inner tubes for your bike. They come in boxes like this, but again, check with your cycling shop and make sure that you're picking up the right tube that will fit your tires. Not all cycling tubes are created equal. When you go out for your training rides, you might want to take an extra tube and either a hand pump like this and a bike tool like this, okay? That's the bike tool. That is a hand pump, okay? Or you could take a CO2 cartridge and a pump like this. These just drop right in to here, and then you pump up the tires this way. This takes a little bit of practice and they're a little pricey. They're certainly not necessary. I personally will bring at least one extra tube and a hand pump or CO2 cartridge on every ride because we have thorns kind of in the grass and my bike just loves to pick them up. Now this gets really far down the rabbit hole, right? Okay, if I'm gonna bring that stuff on a ride, then I have to have a place to put it, right? Another nice to have would be some kind of gear bag on the bike, or if you have triathlon gear or cycling gear, there are pockets in the back of the jerseys that you might find cyclists wear. All of that stuff will fit in those pockets. It's also a good idea to know how to change a tire. That takes a little bit of practice. Spend some time, take the tire off, inflate it, deflate it, put the tire back on. It takes a lot of practice and it's not something that I really enjoy doing, but I tell you, if you practice that and you end up with a flat tire during a race, then you know how to at least change it. Other gear you will likely use for your training and race day. Cycling shorts are really nice to have for those long training rides, especially if you're not used to riding a bike, and bike jerseys or tank tops that have those pockets in the back that I mentioned, so you can stuff all of your tires and hand pumps and things like that in those pockets. You also want clothing that is brightly colored. Yeah, super bright, because you want there to be no doubt that people can see you. You want to be seen by every kind of traffic, so high visibility clothing is great. You also want to know what's happening around you. You can find rear view mirrors that will either attach to your helmet or to your handlebars. You can find those, again, way extra, but if you want to feel a little bit safer and have a little better idea of what's going on around you, those are two really great options. But let's bring it back down again. Like I said, really all you need is a bike, a helmet, shoes possibly, hydration, and eye protection. Everything else can just get you down that rabbit hole of gear. If you want it, great. If it's in your budget, that's fantastic, but don't feel like you have to get everything in the cycling store. So let's talk about the bike leg specifically. It is certainly the longest distance of the three disciplines, and it typically takes the longest amount of time during race day. A sprint triathlon that most beginners will start with will typically have 13 miles on the bike leg. So after your half-mile swim, you jump on the bike for 13 miles. Now, training for the bike can be tricky. You do want to ride out on open roads, similar to the surfaces on which you will be riding on race day. So like the swim, you can probably get away with 2 to 3 sessions per week, topping out at about an hour, especially for the sprint distance triathlons. If you're going longer than that, you do want to spend a bit more time on the bike. Now, train on the bike as often as possible outdoors on regular terrain. You can get away in inclement weather with some kind of spinning bike indoors, doing a spin class, but try to stay away from the stationary bikes in the cardio room, and certainly don't go anywhere near those recumbent bikes. They can cause a lot of problems if you're not doing it correctly, and it's a completely different kind of cycling unless you are using some kind of recumbent bike in a triathlon. Basically, the more race day specific you can make your training, the more comfortable you are going to be on race day. And cycling can be tricky. Riding outside can be tricky if you have all sorts of weather. If you have hot and dry, if you have cold and wet, or anything in between, I would still challenge you to ride in all types of weather if you can do so safely. You never know what race day is going to bring you, and riding outside in the rain is a very different beast. So if you can practice that once, then at least you're not surprised by it on race day. Let's talk about some rules of the road for cyclists, because this gets really important when you're out on your training rides. Follow the same basic rules that motorists have. A bike has the same rules as a car or a truck or anything else out there. You have to follow those same rules, which means stop at stop signs. Don't ride more than 2 abreast and stay within that cycling lane. Additionally, if you are riding on multi-use trail, please be polite. Shout ahead of you if you are about to pass someone, say on your left, and please do pass them on the left. When you pass them, please say thank you. Watch for hazards, because everything out there is a hazard. Broken glass, you have other riders, you have dogs either on leash or off, you have kids either on leash or off. Kidding. Young kids, other cyclists. I mean, there are so many hazards out there, so keep your head on a swivel. And this is why I strongly discourage wearing headphones at all. In many places it's illegal anyway, so leave the headphones at home so you can hear exactly what's going on around you at all times. Keep your head on a swivel and pay attention to your surroundings. Never assume that anyone sees you when you are riding in traffic. Make eye contact with other drivers when you are at intersections. And wear that bright clothing so you cannot be missed. Honestly, I think the safest thing you can do is ride with at least one other person, or even better, in a group, as long as the group is still following the basic rules of the road that motorists have. Bottom line is this: the bike leg is certainly the most gear intensive, but it doesn't have to be exorbitantly expensive for you. And I have to be honest here, you guys, the least favorite discipline in triathlon for me is the bike leg. It's the most intimidating. I mean, I can change a tire and I can get by with what knowledge I have. I certainly think that this is a machine that I am not comfortable tinkering with. A lot of people are, but that's just not me. And I'm not all that confident a rider. I have had some kind of scary moments on the bike. I have fallen off of it during triathlons, and it's just a challenge for me to have confidence when I'm out there. But I want to make it clear that the more often you do it, the better you're going to be at it. So at this point here in mid-May, when I'm waiting to get out for my first ride, I know there's going to be kind of a relearn, that I have to remember how to do certain things on the bike, clip in and out and all of that. I'll get there, but I just got to get out and do it. My question for you today is this: what do you think of the triathlon bike leg? Is it your favorite of the 3 sports, or not so much? Please leave thoughts, questions, comments, and suggestions in the comment section down below. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Next week, we are talking about the run. I know we talk about that a lot here on this channel, but trust me, in triathlon, it's a little bit different. Please stay tuned and subscribe. Hit that thumbs up if you like this video. We'll see you next time. And until then, go find your awesome and happy running.